Hello everyone and welcome to the Sport and Exercise Science Mardron Live online course talk. So today you're going to hear from Caroline Westwood, who is the programme lead. So she's going to give a presentation to kind of cover what the course is all about and give you a greater understanding of it. And we also have two student ambassadors on the course with us on the call with us today. So we've got Laura and Lauren. So the Q&A is open. So please submit questions through to us and we will answer them at the end. So any questions that you have throughout the whole presentation, if you just pop them in there and then we'll collate them all at the end and ask both Caroline and our students. So Caroline, over to you.
Thank you very much. Hi everyone. It's great to, well, not see you all, but virtually kind of see you all. And just to echo that, it's a really exciting time for the university in terms of what's going on and developments. And I just want to spend the next kind of 10 minutes or so just talking to you about the new and exciting developments within sport and exercise science and what life would actually be like if you came to kind of study that degree with us. So as kind of Sally said, please do drop lots of questions to us because we're more than happy to answer them for you. So I guess the first start point for us really is, what actually does sport and exercise science kind of look like now in terms of how the sector has changed and what a sport and exercise scientist is now. Back in the day, sports science used to really just be a mix of the kind of traditional disciplines of physiology, psychology and biomechanics. But what's become really apparent in not only performance sport, but also in the exercise science context, is that there are many roles for a sports scientist to actually take on. And if we kind of model our world-class stage in terms of how we prepare our athletes for performance, but also our exercise scientists, you can see that at the heart of it is obviously the performance coach and athletes. And then we have all these pockets of individuals who sit around that. So our sports scientists there, you can kind of see at the bottom, you can actually now diverse into a range of different areas. So you can actually go on and study areas of, as I said, the kind of key disciplines in sports science, so your psych, phys and biomechanics. But you can now also start to look at aspects of performance analysis, talent identification, nutrition, and also the applied kind of sports science world, which is really where our kind of strength and conditioning fits in. So if we look at this as our kind of world-class pathway of what sports science is, the university has taken a really strong approach to go, do you know what? Let's make sure that all of our sport and exercise scientists have the opportunities to experience all of those different disciplines, and they can start to actually specialise out if they want to and really focus into those areas. So this is really at the heart of kind of how we've designed our new kind of programme. And really our first question is kind of why us? We're incredibly proud of us as a university in terms of our sports facilities. We're kind of we are ranked in the top 10 in terms of universities and what we actually have. And just here are some of the kind of pictures and graphics of what you can really appreciate when you come onto campus. So we have outstanding outdoor facilities, but at the heart of what we do with our degree is really within that sport and exercise science lab. And as I kind of go through, it'll become apparent that our lab is the only accredited lab in the whole of the Southwest, which what that means is our governing body, BASES, who are the Association of Sport and Exercise Science, have come down to our lab and they've seen how we operate in there and they've gone, do you know what? You guys undertake kind of world-class performance support with your athletes and with your exercise kind of capacity work that you do. And therefore, we're going to accredit this facility, which means that if we have any athletes in the region who need any sports science support, they'll automatically be kind of recommended that they come to our place. And what that means is that you guys get to work there, because for us, at the heart of our philosophy with our work with students is that you guys get the applied skills to work in that lab facility. So we want you to kind of immerse yourself in our sports world and in our lab world. You can see there we've got some of our partners actually taking place and carrying out some work in our lab. And that's the key trend that will go through the whole of your 3 years. We strongly believe that every student who comes to us should take that facility as their own and really embed it into everything that they do during their time with us. And as a result of that, the students respond really well to that in terms of how well they enjoy the teaching, the enthusiasm from staff, and as you can see by some of our kind of awards and accolades that we've got. So kind of with that, the key is then, what is our sport and exercise science programme about? And you probably heard me say then that we've actually changed the provision And the reason we've done that is we've recognised that the landscape is really changing in sport and exercise science. It used to be, years ago, that sports scientists wore a tracksuit and they did a bit of testing with athletes, and most people have this idea and that they're going to work with Olympic athletes and world-class athletes, but actually the work that we do extends way beyond that. And really, we want people to recognise that the sport and exercise scientist is incredibly diverse in terms of the skills and qualities that you've got, and how you can actually support and work with a lot of individuals across a range of different performance contexts. And as I said, that could be, the kind of performance athlete, or it could be, working in a community environment, running and helping out with our clinics where we support people with various diseases, conditions, and actually there's a lot of impact in terms of what we can do. So the kind of key things at the heart of the degree programme is, the first one is that it is endorsed by BASES. Now, BASES are our governing body in terms of they're the British Association of Sport and Exercise Science. And one of the most important things you should look at for any sports science degree is that they have this endorsement, because it means that as you go through your degree programme and when you graduate, it means that one thing that people look for is, was your programme endorsed? And it means that we've had that kind of rubber stamp to say that everything that we actually deliver in terms of our curriculum is recognised in line with their competency. So it's a big tick for us to have that endorsement. The second thing is that we also have many professional qualifications embedded into the degree programme. So you'll see there that we've got the Register of Exercise Professionals. And what that means is that in your first year, you'll actually be able to get your Gym Instructor Level 2 award and also your Level 3 Personal Trainer award. So what that means is by the end of your first year, technically you are career ready to actually go out and work in that exercise context, in that health and fitness industry, and actually start to develop some key skills which are really important when you work with clients and athletes. So those are really important qualifications that you get embedded in those modules. The other thing really, which is great for us, is that we have really strong links with our professional partners. So I've got some of the kind of badges there. So the most important one, which we're really proud of, which was quite recent, was that we recently became an FA High Performance Women's Centre for football. And what that means is that we work closely with the FA to support really talented football athletes, but also football female coaches, and also how we generally work and tap into supporting that in the region. And again, we've got staff who operate as part of that centre who will integrate and work really closely with our students. So there's opportunities to undertake things like, fundamentals of movement in line with some of the kind of FA courses. So again, it's really great for us to be one of only 9 of the high performance centres in the whole of the UK. The other one is Plymouth Argyle, so our professional partnership with them. We are their main educator in terms of that partnership. And it works in many different ways. The squad actually come up and use our S&C facility within the lab twice a week. And that means that our students get to work alongside their lead strength and conditioning coach. And they actually get opportunities to work with the squad to develop their coaching, but also starting to understand the science that goes behind the preparation of athletes. So again, that partnership, we have strong links there where this, as I said, the players come up to us, but also we have some of our students who go down and actually work at Argyle themselves. So they join in with the players, they look and work with them pitch side, and they kind of see all the other aspects that go alongside the football, such as the nutritional preparation, their hydration strategies, performance analysis, and some talent ID as well. And we also tap in with our British Basketball League team, which is Plymouth Raiders. And actually, we've had students who have really kind of been thrown at the deep end in that they've actually ended up delivering all of their science support in terms of the conditioning of players. So again, the basketball squad will come into our lab and our students actually design and deliver and implement that training with them. And I think that sets us apart from pretty much nearly every university, for students to actually be able to design training, to deliver that and work alongside the performance coaching team with a professional squad of athletes is really, really impressive and important. So there are so many opportunities in terms of the athletes kind of side of things that, every single person who comes onto our program should have some sort of input in terms of experiencing that, which is so important. which is why we kind of changed our outlook for sports science. So previously we just had sport and exercise science, but because we recognised that there are so many different facets of sports science that everyone should really experience, we've now got these pathways in place. And what that means is as you kind of go throughout your degree, you can, if you want to, start to specialise in them. So it may be that you want to leave with a sport and exercise science degree, but with a specialist pathway in strength and conditioning. So what that means is in year 2, you'll do an S&C specific module, and in your final year, you'll do additional 2 modules. And that allows us to kind of say that this student, not only have they got all the grounding of sport and exercise science that they need, but they also have a really great ability to work in that strength and conditioning context. And again, it just allows you to kind of, if you look, have a wider field as to where you might end up going in terms of your career and your pathways. We also have the pathways in nutrition. So if you've got a real interest in terms of actually getting athletes, you know, prepared and ready for competition and also recovering from that, we'll also give you the skills that you need to understand how to fuel them, how to bring in aspects such as supplementation, whether that's even appropriate. And again, that pathway exists across the years. And then the last one is we have something that runs out of the university called our active choices clinics, which is where we have different clinics of different individuals who come in. They'll come in maybe once or twice a week. And if we've got students who actually are more interested in the exercise science side of things and want to understand the importance of our principles to a physical activity and health context, it means that those guys can specialise into that kind of health sector. And why that's so important now is that more than ever in this situation we find ourselves in, people are understanding just how important it is to be physically active and well. And if we can actually, as sport and exercise scientists, help support that, then we know that ultimately we're going to have a big impact upon people's mental health and well-being. And just kind of examples of that further. So for example, we have something called the Cancer Prehab Programme at the university. And what that is it's actually a specialist kind of interval training for people who are facing kind of life-change or life-saving surgery for cancer. And the recognition is that if we can get these people fit before surgery, their chances of recovery are just so much better. So we do these kind of high intensity 2 or 3 weeks of training with them, and then these guys are basically better able to cope with surgery. So hopefully you can appreciate the real impact our work has, not just within performance sport, but also in that exercise context, and actually, you know, the value to our kind of community who we work with. So it's pretty much impossible for me to try and tell you all the opportunities kind of within this short presentation, but hopefully you'll get a feel as to just the depth of what you can actually get within that sports science degree. And that was recently recognised here. There was a study done which was between the Guild HE, which is our higher education body, and also our kind of sport and exercise scientists and physiological society. And what they did is they basically said the value of a sport and exercise scientist on the economy is huge. And I'm hoping this short video will play just to show you the exciting approaches that are going on within sport and exercise science.
Sport and exercise graduates add £4 billion to the economy. That's almost 147,000 jobs. So for every £1 a student invests in their course, they gain £5.50 back in terms of the high earnings that they will achieve during their career.
I think this report will have a huge benefit and a huge impact. I think what it does is it showcases and it highlights and it brings together case studies how sport and exercise science is informing graduates who are making contributions to broader society and to the economy as a whole. And for us showcasing our field, that can only be a good thing.
I think the finding probably reinforces what I'd expect to see, which is the huge contribution that sports and exercise science makes to economy and to people's lives. I think in any sports and exercise science program, you'll see undergraduates fully embedded in employability and enterprise activity across community and sports science settings, and then they continue that into graduation.
Obesity, diabetes, cancer, depression, all areas in which sport and exercise science research is playing a pivotal role in improving the health of everyone, and that includes youth and families.
Sport and exercise science has a really important impact in a wide range of areas. At our university, we've looked at how our students can feed into the community and do some really positive things. We work with the ageing population, mental health, coaching, sports therapy, but the figures are really, really impressive. And it's nice to be able to support the work that we do with some really meaningful figures.
Exercise science provides strong scientists with an opportunity to develop and apply their skills in environments that they are passionate about. And through that, they perform to their best, and then they can take those skills that they've developed out into the workplace.
The days of thinking that people who did sports science degrees went and played football or basketball have long gone.
Do you know what? It's quite a nice place to leave it, because I think that's the key, in that what you would have seen there is that there's a huge scope of what's going on in sports science, and actually our Deputy Vice-Chancellor was part of that to showcase some of the work that goes on with our own sports science programme here. And what we've seen here, and I won't talk too much about this, is that, you know, not only is there a number of transferable skills that you get from the degree programme, you know, there is huge scope in terms of the role that we play, not only in our performance sport, but also through to the kind of role in supporting people with conditions such as obesity, diabetes, cancer. And we're there to really help support the NHS, which at the minute is critical in terms of obviously what's happening in the pandemic we find ourselves in. So it really is just to highlight that the careers and employability from sport and exercise science is growing more than ever, and will continue to do so as we find ourselves in these really quite unprecedented times. And then just kind of these last ones, I don't need to spend too much time on it, but you know, we've got some really great comments in terms of students, in terms of some of the work they've gone into. Our students really respond well to the fact that there is such a high amount of practical in our course. So for every lecture that you get, typically you'll have a practical that goes with it. We very much believe that our sports scientists are action people rather than sitting in a classroom. We believe that you guys need the skills to get out there, to work with athletes, to work with the general population. And these are just some of the roles people have gone into. So we've got Mia, a current student who's just coming to the end, who's looking to go into teaching. We've got Bo there, who is now acting as the fitness consultant to the fire service. And another of our alumni there was actually Andrew, who was actually one of our sports scientists, who graduated a few years ago now, who's a professional referee and actually refereed at the last Rugby World Cup. So we've got loads of really great examples of things that you could possibly go into. And then hopefully, if you're feeling inspired to join us, just to kind of reaffirm what the first year will look like. So it's about everyone being given the opportunities to work in our lab, and you can see some snapshots there of what we've got. We've got some really great equipment in there that will support you. And it's about giving you the different appreciation of the different sports sciences, which what this looks like. So covering the core disciplines, but giving you the understanding as to what the nutrition conditioning pathways look like as well. And then I guess for me, it's this that's so important. You know, there are lots of sport and exercise science degree programs there, but for us, it's the extras that our students get. So, you know, in your final year, we actually take you outside of Devon, and we actually leave the region and we go up to St George's Park, where you will experience what it's like to work in a high performance sports science setting. And that's the home of England football. We actually went last year and our students were overexcited because obviously Gary Neville was there. Not Gary Neville, Gareth Southgate, wrong manager. I'll be shot for that with my husband. So Gareth Southgate was there, and they got the chance to actually see what that real high performance was like. This is our kind of Raiders team, so our sports scientists who work with them. And then finally, just a couple of bits is assessments. We don't, again, believe in just getting you to write essays and just sitting exams. We want you to be career ready and employability focused. So at the top there, there's an example of our students actually produce their own web-based resources and many of our students use those as a way to set up and run their own businesses. So Stoic Conditioning was an example of one of my students who set up a tactical conditioning training site for people who wanted to work or go into the military. So it's very much about getting people career focused and ready to go forward for military recruitment. And then also we've got links if you wanted to experience what life was like as an American student, you could do a semester abroad in your second year. So we've got partner links with Bloomsburg University, for an example, and some of our students have done that as well. So again, feel free to ask questions on these because I appreciate there's a lot to pack in here and I'm probably way over time. And finally, again, you know, our students are generally really supportive and enjoy the subject. They find, thank goodness, that we make it 100% interesting and we're enthusiastic. And we genuinely all really do believe that every single student of ours deserves to understand what aspects of sport and exercise science they want to be enthused by, and we want to give them the opportunities to develop into that and really experience it. So hopefully there's questions. Again, sorry to kind of carry on, but as you can probably tell, I could talk about sports science for hours. Please do follow us on our social media. There's loads going on and being tweeted about, and hopefully it'll give you a real appreciation as to what sport and exercise science is like. So thank you for listening.
Thank you. That was a really, really interesting presentation. It's great to see all the partnerships and opportunities that are available to our students. We've had some great questions coming through whilst you were presenting. So if you don't mind, Caroline, I'm going to keep you on the screen for a moment while I ask you some of these questions. And it looks like we've got some potential 2020 applicants with us today watching. So welcome to you guys, and hopefully we can help you out today. So one of these questions is, will learning be a combination of online and in-person lectures? And if so, do we have a rough idea of what that split might look like?
Yeah, great question. I guess firstly, as you can appreciate, obviously there's a slightly unknown times at the minute. For our subject in particular, we face the additional challenges of working in those lab environments. But just firstly to reassure you, the Physiological Society, for example, have just sent out some recent guidance which suggests that actually the risks of being in the lab and undertaking things like VO2 max testing isn't as, the risk isn't as high as you would think. So bizarrely, working and putting a gas mask on and working with someone in an exercise context doesn't carry the same risk if you were actually stood facing someone. So we're taking all these initiatives at the minute, but our plan for September is that as a minimum, our students will be coming back onto campus each week. We're looking at about a 50% split. So we are doing a mixture of some online support and learning, and I think that is important for people who maybe have work obligations or commitments to look after, you know, family and so forth. It means that you can join into lectures and little kind of snippets of resources at a time that suits you, but you will then also come back onto campus for the modules. So it's likely that that will be a day a week, and you might have, for example, something like physiology in the morning and a bit of psychology in the afternoon. And again, one of the great things about the university is because we're small and reactive, we can change quite quickly. So if lockdown is eased more quickly, it means that we can upskill ourselves and get you in there a bit quicker. With regards to work in the lab, because for us, that's the most important thing. For the initial semester, we are looking at how we can get you in groups. And the capacity of the lab does mean that you can kind of work in groups of 5 or 6 and still get some experience of the equipment. So for us, it's really to reassure you, and in line with obviously the announcement from our Vice-Chancellor yesterday, that we are hoping to have a really good mix of our kind of blended learning. So there will be definitely stuff on campus for you and in our lab, which we think is hopefully really exciting and important to us on the programme.
Thank you, Caroline. I think that's a really clear answer. Obviously, we are just following government advice as we get it, but we are preparing to welcome students on campus in September, which is amazing news that was announced yesterday. So, Caroline, I've got a couple more questions here for you, which are in regards to kind of course. So we've got someone here that said, I'm currently doing lots of future learn courses to broaden my knowledge. Are there any potential courses that you recommend or websites that can help me before September? And somebody else has also asked about, is there any pre-reading that they would recommend? So yeah, over to you.
Yes, I think for those of you who are looking to join us in September, I don't know if you're aware, but in next week, we've actually got a specific session which is designated to work with guys looking to study with us in September. And that's actually much more interactive. So it's going to be an opportunity for you guys to meet with fellow peers. We're also going to give you pre-enrollment to our learning space site. And what that is, it's an area where there's examples of resources you can look at. There's readings if you really do want to do lots of work. We've got some colleagues with some really great websites. So, for example, Ben Jane, who I work with, he's got his Ben Jane Fitness website. And within that, there's an actual kind of sport and exercise science focused area with lots of kind of tasks and readings that you can get ahead and look at. And then I would also encourage you to look at places like BASES, so the British Association of Sport and Exercise Science, who have lots of webinars that you can look at. And also the UK Strength and Conditioning Association, they've got things coming out. And also, if you follow us on Twitter, either the Margin Sports Science Lab or S&C, we're also tweeting lots of kind of talks and resources that would be really useful to look at as well. So I guess the answer is yes. I'm more than happy if anyone wanted to email me directly and ask for any kind of specific links, then please do that and I can definitely share them. But alternatively, if you get there to the talk, it's next Tuesday, then as you say, you'll get some more insight there as well.
Thank you very much. We will be, you will have contact from us soon in regards to those sessions, just to confirm the date and times for your course if you are one of our applicants. So please do come along to these sessions. They're going to be really, really interesting and great for you to meet, like Caroline said, your peers and who you'll be studying with, along with obviously your lecturers as well. So I'm going to go over to our student ambassadors now and just ask those a quick question, because it'd be great to get their insight on studying at Margin and on this course in particular. So Laura, if you don't mind, I'm going to come across to you first, if that's okay. It would be great to hear kind of what's been your favourite thing so far. So if you could just introduce kind of what year you're in as well, that would be great. Thank you.
Yeah, so I've just finished my first year of doing strength and conditioning. I'd say my favourite thing of studying this year was the fact that every lesson I had was different. So it gives you like a really varied experience. And it kind of opens up avenues that you didn't maybe think about before. So like I've never done biomechanics before, but from doing that I could have a career in that avenue. Or like psychology, you don't really think about that, and then you start doing the lessons and you gain an interest in that. And there's a really good variety of practical and theory, so you never really get bored of the lessons because everything's different.
Thank you, Laura. That's really interesting to hear that actually it's broadening your knowledge of maybe different paths that you could go down and areas that you might not have been interested in before but now are. So that's really, really great to hear. Lauren, I'm going to come across to you now, if that's okay. So if you could also just introduce what year you're in and also share your favourite part.
Yeah, so I'm just finishing my first year of the Sport and Exercise Science course. I found that it has really broadened my knowledge of the different subjects that are actually out there for sports science. So as Caroline said, that there is kind of the traditional thought of it being quite narrow, but actually there's a lot more to it than I first realised. And it's helped me to learn a lot more about the different avenues that I could take up. For me, sports psychology has been a module that I've really enjoyed because it's made me learn about how you react in different situations in
Cool, thank you very much, Lauren, for sharing your answer. I think it's kind of again just showing how broad that it can be. And what you do learn. So I think we haven't had any further questions come through. So I'm just going to quickly say, like, kind of last chance for questions. If you did want to pop any through, that would be great. And I think, Caroline, I'm just going to ask you one last question, I suppose, in regards to the balance of kind of practical and theory. And I know we've talked about obviously managing both of those, but what kind of split would they expect for that?
So for each of our kind of sports science modules, you know, our practical strategy it develops across the 3 years. So as you get to your final year, you'll probably find that the split between practical and theory is probably about 70-30% in favour of practical. In your first year, it's probably more of a kind of 50-50 split. But as we said, you know, even our, you know, the kind of traditional subjects where you think, oh, OK, well, we wouldn't normally be in the lab, so do we get the practical skills? So even the likes of the psychology and other areas in nutrition, there's still very much that you will have your kind of taught theoretical aspects, and then you will have really applied practical sessions with those, or practical seminars. So as a minimum in that first year, it will be a 50-50 split. And as you go through the years, you'll start to find that you'll specialise out and get more practical opportunities in our lab and various contexts.
Thank you, Caroline. That's really interesting to see that it kind of grows more and more and more as you get into your third year, and I suppose getting you ready for that real life environment, isn't it? So we haven't had any further questions come through, so I just want to take this as an opportunity to thank both Laura and Lauren for sharing their student experiences with us, and to thank Caroline for giving us a really in-depth view at what this course is and what's involved, and hopefully that will help you make that decision, if you haven't already, on whether this is the course for you or not, and whether Mardron's for you or not. I also just want to let you know that we also have a wide range, of programme of events. So similar to the preparing for your course sessions that we just spoke about, we also have Mardron Live. So they could be around student support, money matters. If you've not had the chance to visit us on campus, you can do a guided campus tour online, which will show you the facilities that we do have, which actually goes through the labs as well. So we go through each of the labs and kind of go into a bit more detail about those. So it would be worth your while kind of joining one of those as well. So thank you everyone for joining us today and for your participation with the Q&A. And hopefully we'll get to speak to you all soon. Bye-bye.